Good morning, beloveds. You can tell that the humidity is high because my hair is fluffy. Tom said that when he went to the grocery store, it was like a sauna out there. So it had rained overnight. And it is going to get up to 82, I think they said today. And then we're going to have they said cold front. I'm like, yeah, no, cool front come in. And our high tomorrow will be in the 60s, and I'm super excited about that. So just a programming note, I'm not going to do this tomorrow morning. I will do it tomorrow night when I get home. We're going to run away. It's just a day trip, though, so I'll be back. All right. It is March 8th. Our title is Wisdom. Our author is Ella Pomeroy from The Power of the Soul from 1948. All right, wisdom. Wisdom does not consist of using all knowledge for personal ends, does not consist of the accumulation of facts, ideas, or things, not is its main purpose provision against future contingencies. Wisdom consists in the adventurous use of knowledge, in the ability to perceive and utilize accuracy, rightness, precision in a quick and precise rejection of the unrighteousness in favor of the right balance, right action, and understanding heart. Wisdom is the power to discern real values, real and continuing interests. It indicates the ways to adapt means to ends. It produces efficient foresight by immediate correctness of observation and conclusion. Wisdom is the mind of God, is its precise discernment of outcome, its infallible judgment in the present and in the future, its immediate and right use of all available means of the achievement of its ends, is constant, inflexible, successful. God is the providence working good to and for all people, the resource inexhaustible, eternal, and holy right. Wisdom is the mind of God. Wisdom in the mind of God is an idea of choice. Wisdom in people is the ability to discern rightness, accuracy, balance, and judgment. Okay. So I belong to a group on Friday, the Philosophy Friday group. And it's a group that meets on Zoom that discusses ideas. And one of the earlier ones that I got into was wisdom. It was talking about wisdom, and we may have been contrasting it with something else, but they were talking about wisdom. And the interesting idea about wisdom, because I had what was the name of that class when I was in ministerial school? I don't remember the name of the class, but it was taught by Dr. Banerjee, who also taught the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. So, and it was a very interesting class. It was awful. Research and methodology. That was the name of the class. And it was awful from the standpoint of it was a grounded in facts. He taught us how to do internet research, which was very helpful, but he also taught us how to write proposals, like grant proposals, to create research. Like if you're going to write a grant proposal, you got to do research. And so a lot of the times when people say that they are going to do research, they're not actually going to do research. They're going to do what he called a literature review. Every time you Google something, you're not actually doing research. You're doing a literature review. You are going to read what other people's research showed. You're not actually setting up the research, and you don't have a control group and what have you, and a lab. So now every time somebody says, well, I'm going to go do some research on that, I really, in the back of my mind, says, no, you're not actually going to do research. You're going to go do a literature review and read what other people's research said. But I don't. I just want to. And that's wisdom. Honestly, that is wisdom. There's a joke from Dungeons and Dragons, the game, that intelligence is knowing that the tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing that it doesn't belong in a fruit salad. And then charisma is being able to sell salsa as a fruit salad. So, there's that, which is just funny. So, and one of the things that Dr. Banerjee talked a lot about was the difference between knowledge, which is the accumulation of data. Okay? That was his thing. It's like, all knowledge is the accumulation of data. It doesn't do anything until you actually do something with it. Knowledge is only useful when you're using it. So accumulating knowledge doesn't do you any good unless you play trivia, but then you're applying your knowledge. So from his standpoint, wisdom is knowledge applied plus experience. So it's like, you can spend your entire life gathering knowledge, but until you actually use it, and that's where experience comes from. So I've always leaned into his idea of what wisdom is. It's knowledge applied plus experience. And that's what experience is, knowledge applied. Experience is knowledge applied. So wisdom comes from experience. How many times can you do something before you learn something? Ideally you learn something, and that's where my definition of failure comes from. It's like, as long as you've learned something, you haven't truly failed. You may not have achieved your goal, but you haven't failed unless you quit. So that's for me, that's the ground of failure. It's like when you quit. And that's not even what it sounds like, because sometimes you have to stop doing things because it's not going to work. It's like, okay, so then you go do something else, but you've learned something, so you haven't failed. So you see what I'm saying? But if you quit and don't learn anything, then you fail. That's mine. So, but when we were in the Philosophy Friday group, the other thing that they talked about, that idea of the mind of God, where wisdom comes from. And from the standpoint, now I'm going to use the word Akashic record, or we've also called it the race consciousness. There's a whole lot of wisdom that has been accrued by humanity, right? We're not always very good at using it. But some of the wisdom isn't right. Some of the wisdom, this idea of sickness, this idea of death, this idea of, all of that. Okay, that's wisdom that we've got, but it's counterproductive to what we're doing. So it's like, we need to get up into the human accumulation of wisdom and weed some of that stuff out. The good news is all of that wisdom that's human wisdom doesn't exist in the mind of God. So it's like, if you want to, if you're a little low on experience and a little low on knowledge, then where do you turn for wisdom? To spirit, to God, to the divine. That's where you turn. Which is why our go-to, our initial, whatever it is that you're going to do, the first thing you do is treat or pray. You go there first. And so you access the divine wisdom. And she gets into that, where she starts talking about what the divine wisdom is. And she used the word discernment. We like to use the word discernment instead of judgment, because judgment has a lot of baggage with it. So we try not to use the word judgment, because generally, So discernment is part of wisdom. It's like, sometimes we're just presented with all of these options and we're like, okay, well, what's the best option? Do we have the knowledge? Do we have the experience? Do we have the wisdom? Okay, well, then always, always, always the first place to go, and this is the wisest choice that we can make, here's that wisdom thing, prayer. So we go into the mind of God and we say, okay, clearly I have all of these options. What are the best options? So then we treat first. We do the treatment. And then we go back and then we gather knowledge. And we talk to people. And we access, the human wisdom. And because we have treated first, then we have asked for the divine wisdom. And ideally, when we are gathering knowledge, then we will be divinely guided by the divine wisdom to the best knowledge that will help us. And same with the human, as we're gathering the human knowledge, because we treated first. But we still get to use that discernment. So wisdom is just one of those things. It's a fascinating topic. But the wisest thing we can do with wisdom is access the divine, which every one of us has access to. I grew up Catholic, and a lot of religions, Catholic being first and foremost among them, want to tell the common person, the average person, you don't have access to God. You don't have access to God. That's one of the things that I love the most about like New Thought and Science of Mind. And Gnosticism is the same way. Gnosticism is, and there's nothing between you and the divine. You have full access to the divine. Whereas in like the Catholic Church, you had the priest and Jesus and all of the saints between you and God. You didn't ever access directly God. You went to the saint, or you went to Jesus, or you went to the Mother Mary, or you went to the priest. You didn't have access to God. And so in New Thought says, no, there's nothing between you and God. The only thing between you and God is the illusion that you put there, or that you have accepted from other people putting there. So again, that's why I say there's a lot of things in human wisdom that we need to weed out that's not true, because there's nothing between you and the divine. There's nothing between you and divine. So go there first, and then we have access to the divine mind. So she's telling us what wisdom is, but in the end, what she's reminding us is that true wisdom is the divine mind, that we have access to the divine mind, and we should use it. It's kind of like Emma Curtis Hopkins. There is good for you and you ought to have it, because both Emma and Ernest say that. Well, right here, she's saying there is wisdom. It's the mind of God. You have access to that. Why don't you use that? Wisdom in people is the ability to discern rightness, accuracy, and balance and judgment. Wisdom in the mind of God is an idea of choice. And that is the cornerstone of our teaching. For you to know that you are always at choice. Sometimes the only choice we have is how we feel about a situation. But it's a good place to start. Once we know how we feel about a situation, then we can choose what we're going to do about that. And that's why we work for a world that works for everybody. Because we've looked at our feelings and we're like, yep, this isn't right. We're going to work on this. We're going to work on this. So, all right. So the wisest thing that I can counsel you to do, no matter what it is that you want, that you want or need to do, is start with prayer. Treat first, and then go gather your knowledge. Go gather your knowledge. And there's a lot out there, but when you treat first, and you treat for that guidance, and then you accept the guidance, you will be guided to the knowledge that you need to make the choices that you make. All right, beloveds. Wisdom from Ella Pomeroy. Interesting. Okay. As I have been in a rut lately, I'm definitely shortening my ending part. So I'm going to... we talked about wisdom. So the mission today, should you choose to accept it, treat first. Always, always, always. That's always the first step to anything that you're going to do. Treat first. Do that prayer. That is the mission today, should we choose to accept it. And then I'm going to remind you, do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going to remind you to check us out on the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Letter, Creative Life Spark. I'm the Running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. If you want to know what's going on with the center, please email info@creativelife.org. That'll get you on the constant contact, especially since our website is currently under construction. So there's that resource for you. You get one email a week. It's a real person doing it. He ain't got time for more than that. All right. I do want to remind you of my favorite Ernest Holmes quote: "Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you that you do live in heaven. Right here, right now. It's all around us all the time." Okay? The two reasons that it's my favorite is because it reminds me of two things. It's all God. And we need to be rocked back on our heels occasionally to look around the world and go, yeah, it's all God. What are we going to do about it? And two, heaven is not a locality. It's not a place we have to get to. It's a mindset. It's a state of consciousness. So take Emma Curtis Hopkins' advice, look for the good and praise it, because that is the best way to start that heavenly mindset. All right. I'm also going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a wisdom day, a gathering knowledge day, a Friday, a looking forward to tomorrow day, a dance in the rain day if it's raining where you are, a good day, because I'm out of adjectives now, and if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You're a beloved child of the divine. Or wait, no. I like to say you're a beloved child of God, but the other expression that I got is you're a beloved expression of the divine. Okay? You're a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. You are, as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, a godling. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move into the process of my day. Just a reminder, I will not be here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. You'll probably get it at 9 o'clock tomorrow. But Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. today, and he'll probably be on around 5 p.m. tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.